Okay, next step is to start three-dimensionalizing this and actually creating spaces with the various surfaces that we're going to use. So the basically the thing that I want to focus on, I think, quite a bit is the circulation and the areas themselves first, right? So I initially took this particular component here and I extruded it like that. And this is really just something that's going to help me see it a little bit better. So I'm going to put it on a layer that I can actually turn off. And I don't want that right now. Okay, so those are the surfaces that I'm left to work with and start to realign with some of the program elements that I need to work toward. So like I said before, is that I need to take some of these elements, like these surfaces right here. So get that one, not that one, not that one. Sometimes these get really annoying to select them. Yeah. There we go. I'm going to take just those and move that one up 5 feet. Okay. So at a certain point, you might want to start translating some of these to layers that you could turn off or just temporarily turn it off. You could have like an off layer and on layer if you want. But really, I'm just going to temporarily turn some of this off. So the thing that you need to kind of focus on is what is this actual element, right? So this is supposed to be a small gathering space. And within that, you know, like what is it going to become? So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of just try to turn this one into like a little, you know, cafe seating platform sort of thing. So I'll select, actually, let me move this one up as well. Make this one, let's move this one up 2.5 feet. Come on. That's annoying. Grab all those. I'm going to join them. And then merge all faces. So it gets me like one solid thing. Okay, so this is where we actually start to go in and develop it as a particular element. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do here is start to create the steps that would bring you up into that space, but I need to be sure that they're kind of appropriately sized. So make sure that you're understanding what your space is, right? So this is 10 feet, that's 10 feet. Overall, this is 22 feet, and 22 feet by about 15 feet in a semicircular condition. There are a few things I can do with that. It could just be like an elevated, like I said, an elevated cafe. I kind of knew that going in, but you'll need to size it out and figure out what you want it to be. So I don't have an edge right now, so I'm going to extract the wireframe and then offset that element by 1 foot. Let's go a little less actually, 8 inches. We'll do the same thing here. And the same thing there. And then extend it. Well, actually I'll just draw it back to the edge for now. Okay, so this kind of corner would probably need to be filleted, and you'll understand why in a moment, but I'm going to fillet with a radius of 0 to just kind of trim it down that corner, and do the same thing over here. And then I'm going to need another line that goes from this edge to there. Okay, so what am I doing with that, right? So if this is going to be sort of an elevated platform, I just need to get it to the point where it has enough detail that it makes it kind of a believable sort of environmental space. Grab all those edges. I'll extrude. Whoops. Select previous. Darn. Alright, let me grab those. Grab them again. Make it solid, If it doesn't, if you kind of try to do this and it doesn't make it solid, then there's probably a corner that's broken somewhere, which it looks like mine has. So I'll have to troubleshoot that in a moment. But the objective, darn, did I just do that again? Hang on. Sorry, this is tedious right now. Yeah, I should at this point, right? I'll join them. Well, just making a closed curve, so it should go solid, no problem. Extrude curve, solid, yes. And then I'm going to extrude it up, say, 42 inches, right? So this helps us kind of just start to get the process of making this a closed element. And then we're going to start that stepping process as well. So the first step I think I'm going to do is go from this point to perpendicular upwards, draw a line from there to there, and I'm going to use this curve to just kind of do my extrusions. I figure an extrusion method is going to help me just kind of get my rise and run, and then I can copy it down as is necessary. What I do know is that this is 2.5 feet. So 30 inches divided by 7 inches, right? So this gives you your maximum number of risers. So we're going to have 4 risers. So then we do, you guys don't have to go through all this trouble, to be honest. I'm just trying to make it look more accurate. You guys could just pick 2 or 3 and divide it, but this is the important part, right? So if I need 4 steps, I take that 30 inches and I divide it by 4, and I get 7.5 inches. So I need 5 actually. That doesn't make sense. Probably did my division wrong. Anyway, so 6 steps for 2.5 feet. Oh. 7.5 inches is fine. It's not a big deal. So I'll extrude. Let's go down 7. Whoops, or up, whatever. Minus 7.5 inches. Then I can grab this edge and I'm going to extrude that curve and I'm going to go the opposite direction. So extrude curve, direction, you can go from here, whoops, project is not on, so along this surface goes that way, 11 inches. Okay, so this is kind of how you can begin to do your steps. You can extrude them ahead of time, you can extrude them later, it's kind of up to you. But ultimately, you just take these planes and then you can just copy them down. If it's going to be a real custom sort of condition, then I suggest just using a copy method. Right, so that's going to help you kind of trim that out. And then you can work with like solidifying it at a certain point later on. But I want you to focus on the actual main element first, right? So then after that point, you have other elements that you need to build. So you need to have a stair that goes down here as well. But let me show you kind of the easy sort of trick to get this level of detail. Just take these elements you already created and copy them from a point you know to a point you know. And then you can rotate them similarly. Point you know to a point you know, like that. Make sure it aligns properly, and you know that part's up to you as the designer. But then you can do this really cool thing where you Control Shift click, right? And then move it from point to point like that, and then you can just start trimming it off with another geometry that you already have, right? So that's kind of what I'm getting at with this, is just kind of trying to make a clean transition, right? Something that is going to, you know, over the course of your, you know, overall design work out really well. Okay, so that's getting down into a lot of detail, and I'll clean that up and I'll show you the final product. But really, you know, you're going to need to kind of do that for all of your program pieces. So turn this back on. So that's one of them. I can take this one, which is almost a direct translation of the same kind of system, and I can push this one down. In fact, this one went down, I think, like 20 feet. So, oh no, that was only 10 feet, sorry. Okay, so that goes down 10 feet. This one went down, this whole area kind of went down quite a bit. So I might take both of these surfaces. Yeah, I'll just take both of those surfaces. I'll push that down 5 feet, another foot. Looks good. So, you know, I don't want to get too crazy about all of it, but the idea here is to try to get your main systems to read as a certain collective plane, and you know, it's up to you to figure out what that actually is going to be. Let's see, minus 10 feet. So let me just do a few, and then we'll talk a little bit more about those translation systems, like how you're getting from one space to another. I'll just do all of these, pull that whole thing down. Let's see, minus 5 feet. These are going to go up.
Were they supposed to be in increments of 5?
No, they don't have to be. They can be whatever you need. Like this one only goes up 2 feet, so this one's going to go positive 2 feet. See? So it's off off plane sometimes. Let's see that one. That. Yeah. Okay. We'll pull this one. That's going to need to grow probably, but I'll pull this one up 2 feet. Okay. And that one stays. This one comes up 10 feet. Okay, so it looks really fractured right now when I have all of my floor plates on there, but let me just turn them all off, and you can kind of see what's starting to happen. Okay, and there's going to have to be a lot of cleanup and a lot of modeling. So a lot of your time here is going to be spent figuring out, you know, which floor plates do I need to expand, contract, which ones are going to receive stairs or ramps, or, you know, provide stairs or ramps. The other thing that I think that you probably should do is take this curve here and probably offset it outwards. So you can offset it, let's say a distance of 12 feet. It's common in city blocks, right? So I'm going to take those outer edges and extrude them. Solid yes. Let's go negative. Let's go with a 1 foot, negative 1 foot. That's a sort of an exaggerated curb. Oh, you know what? I should probably fillet that edge. So fillet radius 12 feet. This is going to be only curved on 2 edges. You guys don't have to do all this. I'm just kind of thinking ahead to a few things, but you don't have to do all of it right now. So let me just show you kind of the idea here, though. So minus 1 foot, right? So there's our curb, and we need to be thinking about how we get from our curb into our space. And even furthermore, you know, like the street is beyond that. But additionally, we take this curve. Actually, we could take the whole system and extrude it down, but I'm just going to do it with a surface for now. And extrude that curve down to probably your lowest point would be advisable. And you can explode. I accidentally did it as solid. You probably shouldn't do it solid, but you know, these are things you can turn on and off as necessary in order to see or not see the bottom of your volume. That part's up to you if you want to use it or not use it. So I'm going to put these on a secondary layer. Change object layer. Let's make them orange. So that's kind of my inside, right? So that's my base that it can go down to. Okay? So do you guys kind of get the gist of it, right? So this is where we're headed, is to a level of detail that it becomes architectural in quality. But we need to temper it with you know, the levels that we have that are realistic, that's going to give us some degree of believability, and and bound it with the actual cityscape. Okay, so all these things are sort of happening all at once. What questions do you have?
Is this gonna turn out to be like a cities kind of thing?
It's like a plaza, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it said it in the assignment too, right? I mean, I gave you that example that shows sort of like a city plaza. Ours is much smaller in scale. It's very simplified, and we're going to have to do some architectural elements to it as well. So let me stop this video here, give you an opportunity to keep progressing. I'm going to clean this up so that you can sort of see the level of quality overall that you need to get to, and then I'm going to also show you some of the architectural enclosure and stuff that we need to provide as well. Okay?
Will this project include the people, or?
Yes, we are going to do some people rendering and stuff like that. So yeah, very basic though.